I'm Josh. This is Colin. And this is Perseverance, our floating off-grid home. Come explore with us as we sail to new places, we learn how to protect our environment, and see how we coexist with nature. We'll also make lots of friends along the way.
Alright, so this is our first time running aground. We were trying to get to this free dock here behind me. It's in Chesapeake City, and we're coming into the dock, so since we're so close, we're going like a knot, and we just stopped moving. And of course I wasn't looking at the depth like I should have been, but I thought the current was coming in because there's a really strong current, so I kept motoring forward against it, and I'm like, oh, we're not moving. Again, should have looked at the depth, but we've never run aground before, so my mistake. We'll lesson learned. We were very close to low tide, so we're not going to go much lower, so we might not even notice the boat heel or feel like it's aground. So we're going to wait, I think, like an hour or two, and it should be high enough that we should be able to back off, and we'll be all good.
Well, we've been aground for about an hour and 15 minutes now, so just hanging out. Lots of boat traffic coming by into this marina, and they've got live music at the tiki bar. So not a horrible place to wait for the tide to rise.
This sort of chart inaccuracy generally happens in high shoaling areas. At inlets from the ocean to the ICW, it can be a good idea to call the local CTO or similar to get advice on the inlet.
Alright, Captain Josh got us off of the sandbar, so we're heading back to the anchorage. Docking was not going to happen today. Well, we are anchored after that fun situation. First time running aground. We were reminded by the gentleman on the dock that there are two types of boaters: those that have run aground, and those that will, and those that are lying. So there's three. So yeah, we joined a new club today. Turns out our depth sounder is extremely accurate, and so when it says it's too shallow, it's too shallow.
Yeah. There were a bunch of people, with opinions and helpful local knowledge that was not helpful. All of them insisted we could just power off of it, and even once we were off, we went the direction that we were told to go, and it was still 4.5 or less. I mean, yeah, we went exactly.
And charted was like 7 at low water, and we were at low water, but it wasn't a negative tide.
Yeah.
And we were seeing 4. When I put the paddle in off the bow, it was like 3.5 feet when we were stuck. So definitely a huge shoaling issue in this basin. It is nothing like what the chart says. But hugging that wall, it seems like, that seems to be deep water. These other boats got in no problem. So definitely favor the seawall. There's a Army Corps of Engineering boat coming in favor of the left side, I think, if you have any kind of keel. Stress-free cruising life.
Heck yeah, it's not always sunshine and rainbows.
It was sunshine today, and we have a rainbow flag up. So it was sunshine and rainbows, but it was not stress-free.
Can I be lame and say we persevered?
We persevered.
I might not put that in.
You have to put it in now. We talked to the camera about it. So yes, we persevered through it, and yeah, now we know to we'd both thought we just went into like a really strong current all of a sudden, which made sense because the inlet's right there and the current is ripping.
Like 2.5 knots. I
but
think.
It was such a soft and gradual running aground. We just slowly came to a stop, and then it wasn't the current, it was the ground. So just something we're gonna keep in mind for the future.
Yeah.
So all right, that was fun.
I'm out.
I'm gonna have a beer. All right, it is time to depart Chesapeake City. We are going to finish the remainder of the C&D canal and anchor somewhere in the Delaware River tonight. At least that's the plan.
It's gonna be a short day. We're about to have 2.5 knots with us almost the entire way. Maybe a knot to two, depending on how fast we catch or beat the tide. There might be a point at which we get that good speed, but
it's only like a 3-hour trip, right?
Yeah, we should be there in just a couple hours. So
it's like 3:40, 4:40. Josh planned it out perfectly, our departure time. So.
Yeah.
Ready to weigh anchor?
Yes.
All right.
This 63-mile journey down the Delaware River and Delaware Bay must be timed carefully. The current can be strong and you won't be making much headway, especially upriver, if you don't plan well.
Hey Chris, we found a hat for you. Well, we didn't run aground, thanks to Captain Joshy. That was crazy. We were getting back down to 4.5 feet where the chart said 6 to 7, which is exactly how we found ourselves aground yesterday.
And we were way farther, like northeast of that where we went aground before. So that shoaling is massive through the whole entry.
It's just like a huge mound of silt. So yeah, you really got to hug that seawall. And if we were any deeper, we would have to have waited for high tide to get out of there, which would have been a problem because of a very narrow window to make it down this canal with the current not against us. And yeah, having to wait for a high tide to get over the shoaling wouldn't line up with those currents. And then to make matters worse, you can't anchor or stop in the canal, so there's no way we could have like gotten out here at high tide and waited for the current. That's kind of a tricky spot. So, but we persevered. We figured it out. I think Josh is going to get annoyed with that term at some point. So, we've seen horseflies, and they're like, I don't know, about that big. But now there's these like huge flies that are like this big and super furry, so I assume they have to be woolly mammoth flies. If the horseflies are this big, I think they're woolly mammoth flies. We are almost through with the C&D Canal, all 14 miles of it. Only one bridge had to open for us, and there was only one large ship that came through, but it was while we were at anchor back in Chesapeake City. We're discussing right now if it's possible to make it all the way to Cape May tomorrow. And the reason that it might not be possible is because the currents. There's the current that is the Delaware River. We don't want that going against us because it could slow us down considerably, and we wouldn't be able to make as much distance in daylight. And the second issue is the canal in Cape May also has a current, which could be, we could make it all the way there, but then if that current's ebbing, not flooding, ebbing, coming at us, coming out, then we won't be able to counter it because it could be like 3 or 4 knots
They might still
against us.
And they might still call it a flood because it's going into the.
Oh, maybe it is a flood.
Yeah.
The current will be against us, whatever it is. So yeah, it's just kind of working out how to time all that. We're thinking tomorrow, if we go halfway down the river, we ride with the current, and then the next day ride with the current again, minimizing the time it's against us, and then sneak into that inlet at Cape May with the current at least not full force against us. So. We just exited the C&D Canal. We're going to try anchoring on the north side of the Delaware River this evening because we think we might be only stopping for about 7 hours and leaving at 1 a.m. The other anchorage we were considering on the south side of the river has this old submerged wall, and there's a marked inlet for it, but the most recent review is 2017, and I don't like submerged walls, so I don't really see a reason to go over there. So we're going to go over to this anchorage, and based off the wind direction, it's actually going to be the least amount of fetch, so I hope that means it's a smoother night. And apparently there's a nuclear power plant here, so hopefully it's like cool if we're just anchoring near it. No like security zone. The chart doesn't say anything, so I guess we'll see if any cops show up.
I spent a couple of hours double checking our passage plan and making checkpoints down the bay to ensure we were making good time as we went. This anchorage has great protection from the east and south and was very calm. I don't think it's marked on the chart, but we definitely recommend it. You can also anchor on the other side of the river past that submerged wall if you do end up with a west wind.
We decided not to leave early this morning. We thought we could leave at, the plan last night was to leave at 4:30 this morning and make it all the way to Cape May. But after waking up at 4 or 4:30 to look at the radar, there was a bunch of storms coming just up the side of the river here, and we weren't quite sure what they were going to do, and it was just going to be more enjoyable to not possibly get stuck in that. It would have been fine, but I think we made the safer choice to just wait it out.
Well, plus, you could see some were coming from the hurricane and some were like on a boundary of like a trough or something where half of them were going straight south and half of them were going like east-northeast. It was crazy.
Yeah, like the storms,
west-northwest.
the storms on like the north side of the river were going one direction, and the storms on the other side were going like 180 degrees opposite, and we were gonna be right in the middle. So that could have caused some like weird waves and wind that might have gotten a little squirrely and just annoying. So I think it was a lot more enjoyable. It is 4:33. We are anchor up and departing the Attaway Creek anchorage right by the Salem Nuclear Power Plant, and we are heading down the Delaware River with the current. A little bit of rain, but it's all kind of dissipating.
So our average speed is 8.5 knots this morning, and we've been going for a while, a couple hours. What time do we start? 4:30. And it's almost 6:30, so we're finally hitting the current, about to switch around, turn around.
I think the lighthouse made a noise. Looks like something out of Harry Potter. Well, we've both been up since 2 a.m., 2:30. We were going to leave at 3:30, but there's a lot of rain, so we decided to delay our departure till 4:30. And now we are booking it. We have completed 2 pots of coffee.
I make another one.
I go on a 3rd. So the insane amounts of rain are causing a flood in the river. So not only is it the normal outflow, but then all of that rainwater draining into the ocean on top of it. So we are experiencing faster currents than normal today, so which is working in our favor. And I guess it'll probably dampen the current against us, right? Yeah. We are approaching Cape May, New Jersey. All right, we have just started the inlet, exited the Delaware River, and we are in the inlet to Cape May. Looks like some parasailers going out for a day of parasailing. And we've got 2 fixed bridges and a railroad bridge that is now permanently open to pass through, and then we will be in the anchorage.
This whole section of chart is off in minor ways that can be confusing. The power lines are farther east than charted. The chart shows a railroad on the car-only bridge, when the railroad bridge is to the east of the car-only bridge. Any one of these things wouldn't be a big deal, but add in a bridge that has been said to have less than 55 feet of clearance, and things get spicy pretty quickly. With the large amount of rain upriver and an east wind, which both can raise the water level in this canal, we decided to anchor for a couple of hours and let the tide go down before we went under the bridge. Even after all that waiting, it still felt like our 52-foot mast was going to hit the bridge.
All right, so we are anchor up. We made it through the bridge and the railroad bridge and the power lines, which are not charted, at least not in the correct place. And we didn't hit the bridge, and we didn't get electrified by the power lines, so I would call that a win. The board is really hard to read below 52 feet, so you gotta get really close to the bridge, and we've decided that 55 feet of clearance is the absolute minimum we will ever attempt to bridge. Alright, after waiting 2 hours for the tide to go down so we could clear the bridges and power lines, we are anchored in the Cape May, harbor. Cape May Bay. May Bay, Cape May. Anchoring went pretty smoothly. We're a little close to the channel, but I think we're alright.
This anchorage is a great quick stop before moving on because it's all no wake in this area. Join us next time as we make a short trip onshore into Cape May, and we finally make it to New York City. Thanks for watching. Be sure to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon. It really helps our channel grow. If you enjoy our content, please consider supporting us on Patreon.